Beatles, the pioneers of smooth jazz. 26 albums. They've been busy. um, Billboard number ones. And here's the part that gets me as a saxophone player. The man who discovered them took them under his wing and produced their first three records was the great Grover Washington. So, of course, like sax royalty. So that's kind of like being teenagers and having Michael Jordan coach your high school team. So he's written over 100 compositions for the band. Mount Airy Groove, Faux Fi Faux, music that's made three kids from Philly a household groove and name for 5 decades. And I can tell you from experience, the fire is still lit because for the past while, he and I have been in the studio together. This is just one of his side projects, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. This Saturday, August 1st, releasing a brand new single, "Food for the Soul." So tonight isn't just an interview; it's a celebration with my collaborator and my friend. 50 years of Pieces of a Dream. Um, a brand new song 2 days from now. The stories in between are unbelievable. Please welcome from Philadelphia by way of the whole world, James Lloyd. James, welcome to Studio Live.
Thank you, Patrick. Thanks so much for having me, brother.
We'll see if I can get you on here. It doesn't look like I have you. There you are. Okay. See,
There we are. Hey,
everything's
thank you for
working.
having me, my brother.
Thanks for being here and just taking your time out of your busy day. So I have to start at the
My
beginning
pleasure.
because the origin story is almost too good. I mean, you're a sixth grader at is it Ada Lewis Middle School in Philly, and you walk into a jazz ensemble with two eighth graders, Curtis Harmon on drums, Cedric Napoleon on bass. Take us take us back. I mean, what were you like in sixth grade? What happened when you guys played together for the first time?
Well, it was interesting. I was just going out for a band. You know how you go out for track or football or whatever. I was going out for band, and I had no idea that it was going to turn out to be a 17-piece jazz ensemble taught by some of the jazz giants in the Philadelphia area and mentored by them. Um, so uh, that's when I first met Cedric and Curtis, and that's when we first started playing together. We did a talent show in the middle school that were at Ada Lewis Middle School, and we actually only took third place, believe it or not.
Oh, well, that's not
But
too bad. Hey, yeah.
I know, yeah. But and we've been playing together. We started doing like block parties and dinner dances and wedding receptions. And the drummer's father, Danny Harmon, was a vibraphonist and musician around Philadelphia area as well, and did many gigs with many of these other great musicians. So he would take us around and sit in with them and open for them, and we would listen to a lot of the older cats play and learn and absorb from them. And next thing you know, we're playing here and there, and then we got the spot doing a TV show in Philadelphia called City Lights, where we were the house band and we would play in and out of commercials and play for the audience during commercial breaks. So they would have a different musical guest on every week, and sometimes they would use a track, but more than often they would have us back them. So we got to back Dave Valentine, uh, Clark Terry, Iceman Jerry Butler, and one of those weeks Grover Washington Jr. was on. So we got to play two tunes with him, and that was just an incredible feeling. I was 14 years old at that time,
Wow.
and so then soon after that, we were performing at the Bijou Pieces was, and I believe we were opening for either Betty Carter or Denise Williams, and Grover was in the audience, so we asked him if he would come up on stage and do Mr. Magic with us. Like on the Bijou stage where, we recorded it, and so he came up and did that with us and sat in, and man, he just tore it up, and it was such an honor. Then he got on the mic and said that he was announced he was starting a production company, and we were going to be his first act to be produced. And
Wow.
we really didn't even know what that meant, a production company. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm like 15, and he said, well, basically that means y'all got a record deal. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, cool.
All right.
So
Awesome.
I'm 15 years old now. Never written a song, don't know anything about writing music. All we did we were playing things that we heard. We played. We grew up in traditional jazz, so we were playing like a lot of straight ahead things. That some of my influences were Oscar Peterson and Ahmad Jamal and Earl Garner and people like that. But we also played things like Boogie Nights and Brick House and things from Parliament and and James Brown and whatnot. So we were versatile in that sense, even at that time. And one thing just turned into another. But we'd never written any songs. So now here we are. We gotta start writing some music. So we had a little 8-track reel to reel in our rehearsal area, and we
Hmm.
got there and just banged out some songs and presented them to Grover, and he was like, okay, we're going to use this one, we're going to use that, and I'm going to write a couple, and he played on them as well, and had some other people come in, and Dexter Wansel and Cynthia Biggs, who wrote our first single, Warm Weather, and next thing you know, we got an album coming out, and I'm 16 years old. I'm a senior in high school, with a record out, and so that was incredible. I had not a problem getting a date for the prom, shall I say? Uh,
You're like
but
VIP after that, wherever you went. They're like, oh, there's James.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
James, man, how you doing? Yeah. Hey, but before that,
yeah,
there was,
sort of, kind of.
but before all of that, there was a piano though. You started lessons at 6, man. I'm jealous because I didn't
Yes,
see it
yes. I
saxophone
just
until I was
started.
14. Until I was 14, I'm like these people that start at 5 and 6. It's so cool. Anyway, um,
Yeah, I started with classical lessons, just regular piano lessons. It was my brother and myself. He was 2 years old, well, is 2 years older, and we started taking piano lessons, and I fell in love with it, and then after a while, he sort of wanted to stay home and watch cartoons on Saturday, and and dropped out, and by the time he was finished the first book, I was finished the third book, So he's like, I'm done with this, and then I was like, man, Mom, I want to stay home and watch cartoons too. She was like, no,
no,
you keep going. All right, so I did, and that was it. But I was never really forced to practice or made to play something. It was always something I just gravitated towards, and I would listen to records and then things that were on the radio, and then try and play them on the piano. So, I developed like an ear, playing music by ear at a very early age. I could pick things up and just play all the like the TV show themes and cartoon themes and play all that stuff on the piano. And so that was like the start of my musical journey there.
and then you had a classical teacher who was 89 years old feeding you Beethoven and Tchaikovsky, right? So
Yes,
tell
yes.
I
When I
see
was six,
I
she
did my
was,
homework. I
yeah.
did a deep dive on Mr. Lloyd. So yeah, tell me about that.
Yes, when I was 6, she was 89 years old. Her name was Virginia Elizabeth Griffith, and that was my first piano teacher. And she was this spry old lady. I mean, we would walk down the street to get some new sheet music, and I could barely keep up with her,
Huh.
And she taught piano, violin, and she played the harp, and she also taught ballet. It was like, oh my gosh, it was incredible. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I grew up on kind of the other coast, but our roads kind of come together. I came up as a sax player, playing with like Bobby Caldwell, Diane Sure, some Smokey.
Mm.
But for every sax player at my generation, there's one name, that that everybody knows, which is Grover. What kind of cat was he to was he kind of like a father figure to you guys as you met him? Was
Very much
what
so.
or was he like it was a taskmaster or what? I mean, I know a little bit about him, but it's great to hear your perspective. When you guys were kids, what was that like?
Yeah, we called him our musical dad, and we still do. He was really like a father. We often would go over his house and eat and swim and play pool. Well, the guys that could swim, um, and it was more than just a producer and an act relationship. He was definitely like a dad, and he taught us a lot of things. Taught us to let music breathe. You know, sometimes the best thing you can play is nothing at all.
Man,
Things
people
like
should hear that. We got the gospel chops, and God bless all of that, because there's a
yes,
time and a place for everything. But you know,
I know. Yeah, people
you know,
have to realize, sometimes it's not good to play like you getting paid by the note. It's not. Yeah, that's it. There's a time
yeah,
and a place for everything. I agree, but for the most part, people they want substance and feeling, out of what they're listening to, and uh, you know, sometimes just blazing and or throwing a plethora of notes at them is not the best course of action.
yeah. What did Grover teach you that didn't have anything to do with music? You know what I mean? Because a lot of times we get so defined by what we do. I know, me included, but you forget like who you are. You're like, I'm not just a saxophone player. You're a father. You're a teacher. I'm an
Hmm.
entrepreneur. I do a bunch of other things, concert producer. So what did Grover teach you that didn't have nothing to do with music?
Humility, as large and famous as he was the most humble guy. Just to watch him and how he was with people, it was something that was amazing to see, and we absorbed it. It didn't matter if there were 1,001 people wanting his autograph; he would give them each and every one time until it's the last one. You know, and he was just a beautiful guy. He always poured his heart out into the music. I mean, he was just dripping sweat when he come off stage, you know. But the thing outside of music, the most I would say is seeing his humility, and that's something that I try and pass on. That goes a long way. Being a diva and a heava, may seem cute, and you may think that people revere that, but they don't really. You know,
Hmm.
no,
No.
it's not really welcomed or wanted. It's like it may be tolerated
Hmm.
sometimes, but nobody really wants that.
It's interesting. That's a great topic for young cats, because you and I have both been on different, working with all kinds of people over the years, and I
Mm-hmm.
find I find that the people who have the biggest egos, you got to have some healthy ego. I don't want to say that all ego is bad, but the bad part of ego for me stands for edging God out. That's what it stands for. So you have to be
Mm.
careful. But the people who
Mm-hmm.
are usually it's the people that are kind of mid, or like not really making it. They have the most ego. Usually, of course, we've all met some people at the top that love to just. I mean,
Yeah.
some people have different motivations for being in the music business. Some of it's to sometimes people it's all heart and it's joy, and then others they just want to step on people, and because it's a way of getting up a hierarchy. So it's all about the human heart. Where you're coming from.
You'll find often the people with the biggest egos have the least reason to be
There you go.
that way.
Mike,
The
mic drop.
the
Yeah.
loudest one in the room is usually the weakest one in the room. You know.
Yeah. So, hey, take me to the name "Pieces of a Dream." Comes from "Pieces of Dreams," the Michel Legrand tune. Stanley Turrentine
Right,
recorded.
Stanley
Wow.
Turrentine. Yes, we actually got to play that with him on that show, City Lights. You know, when I was 14 or 15, so we got to play Pieces of Dreams with Stanley Turrentine.
Wow. So, 50 years later, I have to ask, whose dream was that at the start, and how did the name turn out to be? You know, your name. How did the pieces come together? There you go.
Oh, the how did the name come about?
Yeah, the name, and how did that become into? Because it takes a moment. I mean, to come up with a concept or a name. It has to be somebody or a couple of
Yeah,
people. Was it?
that was Curtis's stepmother that came up with the name originally, and she her concept was there were three guys that were searching for a musical dream, and the three of us made up the pieces, and we were like, at first we thought, well, it's kind of lengthy, you know. We're like, you know, like one group names, like you know, Parliament or Cameo, you know,
Right.
like you know, things like that, yeah. And but it grew on us, and it stuck, and people started liking it and taking to it, and here we are 50 years later.
Well, speaking of, what's the real secret? Not the press release answer. Two cats staying creative partners for half a century, because we all watch VH1, and usually, just my take on it, people they find a way to argue about the dollars before they got cents. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Before they got any pennies, they're arguing about
Hmm.
some maybes in it, and they just destroy it because of the anyway. How did you guys pull that off? What's the secret?
Man, that could take a while. It's a lot of things, really. It's no there's no short or concise answer to that. Um,
That's all right. We got time.
you have to let each other be each other.
Hmm.
Um, you have to be willing to put in the work. It takes work to keep doing to stay in this genre, in this game, in this music thing, um, for so long. You know, with the ups and downs, it's not always, you know, puppies and rainbows. You dig? I mean, when we first started, there was no such thing as smooth jazz. You know, that term hadn't even been coined yet, and so I mean, there was no smooth jazz stations. There were no smooth jazz real labels. There were no smooth jazz tours and festivals and cruises, and you know, it didn't. There wasn't, those same outlets weren't available. You had jazz stations, college stations, and you had your power stations, adult
Hmm.
contemporary, and that was. And if you were lucky, you got played on one or both of those. And yeah, that's why you know I really do feel like people like us and Grover and Jeff Lorber and Spyro Gyra are like grandfathers of the genre itself. You know,
Mm.
and but nowadays it's a whole another thing. You know, there's a lot more to it. It's a lot. You know, it used to be the music business, and then somewhere along the line, it turned into the business of music. You know, the business
So you think
part
it's different
almost
now?
comes
How
first.
how is that different?
Oh,
Can you dig into that for a minute for us? Because I feel this the same,
let's
but I
see.
want to hear your take on that. You know.
Music is different. It's recorded differently. Um, you know, back in the day, people used to just get together in the studio and hash things out and then work things out there. Sometimes that they would be creating in the studio while they're going along. Uh, and a lot of times that's where magic would happen. A lot of times, what you have going on today, people aren't always in the same room at the same time. So you know, there's there's, I guess, different results will come with that. But there's advantages to that as well because, there's new technologies now that enable us to do things that we couldn't do back in my day, of just analog, reel to reel, 24 track recording. And before, computers and digital and MIDI, even, and being able to, okay, pop things out or tune up a note, one note in the middle of a phrase. And so a lot of things are available now that weren't, which I'm glad to see, and I'm glad to see people utilizing them. And but you know, emphasis should always be put on. Here's what I try and tell people: don't look to be famous. Look to be good. Don't strive to be rich and famous. Just strive to be good. Make that your goal.
Hmm.
Anything else will come. You know, be good at what you are. Put the time in. This generation. I hate to be that guy talking about this generation, but they don't have the same uh, sense of you get what you work for, and you have to
Hmm.
work for what you get
How about
and what
just
you want.
working? How about,
Yes,
how about
about if
it's
it
hard to
doesn't
it's
come
hard to get people
easy.
to show up for work. I mean, I've had sound companies, I've had ticket companies, and I'd be the last person there, like, or the first person. I'll unload the whole truck myself. I mean, I'll lead from the front, and man, it's hard to find people like that now. They're
Hmm.
like, well,
And
I kind of, they call in sick, and I'm like, anyway, I digress.
yeah, and that applies very much to this having any type of longevity in this industry. If you're not willing to put in the work, then it's just not gonna you're not gonna be around but for so long. You're gonna have a shorter shelf life than someone who's interested in it for the long haul and is willing to take steps and take time to do certain things and not look for just the easy way out or the quickest route.
Hmm. You said something that I love. I saw. You said even though a member may change, the sound doesn't have to change. That's a little counterintuitive to some people, but that the
Hmm.
core fan base lies within the music itself. And you've written more than 100 compositions for the band. When you sit down to write, what makes the pieces of a dream sound in your own words?
Let's see what makes the pieces sound. Um, the groove is a big part of it. The main groove of the song. Whether it's up tempo, mid tempo, or moody and sensual. Um, that's the thing. That's the thing that gets it. And then for me, of course, being a keyboardist and uh, one of the main writers, I'm melody driven. So to me, like uh, what I view as a good hook or melody is if someone can, I've been saying this for years, if someone can go into a record store and ask for it without knowing the name or the artist
Hmm.
and just say, "Do you have that song that goes da 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 da?" you know, like then
Yeah.
you got something there.
Huh.
You dig?
Yeah.
That's how you can tell. Hmm.
I think
So
most people
try
want to
and
hear something, a lot of jazz, because I come up playing a lot of the straight ahead and I love it. I believe me, my favorite stuff is like Hank Mobley, Herbie, and all the great shit. But, you know, when, uh, when you're talking about popular music, most people, they're like looking for the funnies, not War and Peace. I don't mean to be uh, not trying to be sarcastic about it or anything, but people want a melody that can sing, and you look at 99% of the stuff that's really memorable. Yeah, even the jazz stuff, really, and it has something that most 9-year olds can hum along to. You know, would you
Hmm.
disagree?
No, no, I wouldn't disagree with that. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's the whole premise of my point. It's those were the things. If, like you said, a 9-year old, even a child, can remember that and grasp onto it, then that's the sign of something that can be accepted by many. And I think uh, it's just one way of looking at it.
Yeah. So you started the band in 1976. So I'm painting that picture like then Gamble and Huff were building the sound of Philadelphia a few miles from your school. Music lived on
Hmm.
vinyl and on the radio. A DJ decided to spin your record, changes your life. You needed a label, a studio, somebody like Grover to open the door. A band got good the only way possible, playing their ass off together in one room for years and putting in the time. Now, okay, so a kid can cut a record on a laptop in their bedroom before breakfast. Streaming pays really nothing, you know. I mean, unless it's XM and the radio DJ is an algorithm, and you don't need a label's permission, but you're competing with 100,000 songs every day uploaded, and now the machines are writing songs too. So here's where I'm going with all this from one music lifer to another. You've watched every era of this business from the inside. Is it is it harder or easier for three teenagers from Philly to make it today?
Oh, um, both. Um, Easier in the sense that, I mean, you can gain internet fame and become, you know, a success in minutes. If we had internet back in the, late 70s, early 80s, you know what I mean? Imagine the things that uh, could have happened. Um, so easier in that sense, but harder in the sense that there's so much competition, not only in well, just even the AI ionosphere, just in the real world, with real musicians um, who have put in years of work developing what it is that they do and are trying to present.
Mm.
So things work both ways. Things just sort of flow, and the key to longevity is being able to flow with them.
Yeah.
You can either evolve or become one of the dinosaurs and turn into oil.
Yeah.
you know, uh, so
Yeah. Well, yeah, you've never stood still. I mean, you've said that you don't like to do the same old every time. You said I have to do something a bit different every time. 50 years in,
yeah.
where does that? It's kind of the same hunger, though, right? Where does that keep coming from? You know, the hunger to keep making some new music. Where does that sit?
I guess for the extreme love that I have for music and performing it and creating it and producing it and playing it with other people and just sharing it. That's what keeps me going. It keeps me doing this for forever, you know, until the
Amen.
day I die, and probably a few months after that. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, the music goes on forever. That is one of the cool things about what we do, because after we're dead
Hmm.
and gone, it's music lives on. You know, if it's good, people like it. So, um, so the
Yeah,
hits, man.
sometimes I just get like a machine, I just go and go and go nonstop, and my wife will have to remind me to go to sleep and go to the bathroom and
Yeah,
oh man, no, yeah. Sometimes I get real crazy, and and sometimes I'll take a break and just not do anything. But it's those crazy times that have enabled me to have some of the fortune to write and produce for like with you and for people like the late great Wayman Tisdale. Wrote his title cut "Hang Time," and Walter Beasley wrote a bunch of number ones and top tens for him, and late great Nick Coleone has some number ones and top tens with him, and yeah, wrote Najee and Eric Darius and Hiroshima, and yeah, it's a whole bunch of people, and so that is a real fun thing to do for me is write and produce because it's different music than I would do for Pieces of a Dream or even for myself on a solo album. Uh, so it's I feel like I have so much music inside of me is it's just not going to fit in those two mediums
you
alone.
know, it gets you outside of whatever zip code. Because I know what that's like to feel like I get stuck in a certain zip code, and it's like, no, I want to, you know, get outside the box, and so,
Yeah,
but
just do it. Just do
yeah.
it. Hmm.
Hey, so talked about the hits, Warm Weather in '81, Faux,
Four,
F-
five, four.
Faux
Yeah.
Fi Faux, Top
Uh-huh.
1583. I've always wanted to ask you, tell the story of that title. Where the heck does that come from?
That comes from when the 76ers won the NBA championship in 4 games, 5 games, and 4 games. And Moses Malone predicted it would be four, four, four.
Okay.
So that's what he would say. It's going to be four, four, four. Right? So, and Milwaukee, it took them 5 games, and then they swept Boston and the Lakers. And so the 4-4-4 turned into 4-5-4. And if you listen to the record, when it gets to that part in the song, when Moses Malone said to Dr. J, he said, "Ooh, my lucky number is Moses Malone." That's Moses Malone on the record saying 4-5-4.
Oh my
Yeah, so we Grover, he was good friends with all the Sixers, and so he got Moses Malone to come in the studio and say 4-5-4. Mm-hmm.
man, when you go back to Philly now, what does that city mean to you? And can do you hear of Philly in all of your playing? I mean, is that kind of the core, or you know?
Man, I think it comes out. There's definitely, what's known as a Philly sound, and Philly is. And we were just recently there at the Robin Hood Dell with Patti LaBelle. Hey,
Mm.
Robin Hood Dell with Patti LaBelle. Now I'm a rapper. Um,
Yes, you are. See.
but yeah, and funny thing, the middle school that we were talking about, Patty's husband used to work there. He was one of, I guess, what you would call a semi vice principal. There was like 4 houses in this middle school, and each house it was almost like a separate school,
Mm-hmm.
but it was all in one school. And so her husband Armstead Edwards used to work at the middle school, and oftentimes we would go over to we called her Aunt Patty. We'd go over to her house, and she would feed us the fried chicken and the biscuits and the rolls and the sweet potato and the mac and cheese and the apple pies, and so all of this stuff. We were just eating all these foods, and it was like it was a little walk, but it was still walking distance from the school.
Man.
And then decades later, you see, you know, Patty LaBelle's pies and things in the supermarkets in Walmart. I'm like, man, I've been eating that stuff since I was like seventh grade.
Wow. Man, man.
So Philly's
Um,
got like really fond memories, you know, and a lot of times we'll go by, you know, the spot where, you know, a lot of those songs came out of. You know, my first jazz piano teacher, the late great Joe Price Jr. We rehearsed in his basement, so we had basically our little mini studio, our 8-track studio, and our equipment down there, and that was our spot.
wow. Man.
Hmm.
Well, listen, I got to ask you, man, you've been through a lot of, you've been through a lot of challenges like that most people could not overcome, but you have. So during the making of the Pieces of a Dream record, I hope it's all right for me to ask you about this album you titled "We Got This." You suffered 3 strokes, and I'm just like, what the hell? How does that happen? Like, how? And I'm not trying to be funny, but it's good to have
I
some humor.
know.
It's like, was that all in like in an hour, or was that over 3 weeks, or you know? Uh,
It
uh,
was all in one. It was all in one night in my
oh
sleep.
my lord! And how did they
Yeah.
know it was 3? I'm sorry for the kid-like questions, but how did they figure this all out?
They saw, you know, once I got to the hospital, they could see, you know, the exact spots where the misfires happened in my brain, and they
Okay.
pointed them out to you know my wife, and they said, okay, it was here, here, and here, and yeah, it was crazy. It happened Monday after the Super Bowl. And
Wow.
I woke up and something was wrong with my left hand. I couldn't hold a bottle of water, and then went to the bathroom and lost my balance and just sort of blacked out and fell and kind of bust my eye open on the porcelain toilet tank lid. And then next thing you know, I was rushed to the hospital, which was only fortunately about 7 minutes away, and it was like really uh, very good hospital for what I was dealing with,
Mm.
and traumas and things like that. So they got me there, and they immediately put me on. You know, they did what two little quick tests, and they oh yep stroke. Put me on the stroke protocol and put me right on in. And next thing I know, they got me doing this and blah blah blah. And then you know I wake up, I guess you know, I don't know, later that night or, you know, that was Monday morning when I went in, and they wound up releasing me Tuesday evening.
Wow.
But I had to, like, you know, pass some stuff, you know, I had to be able to, like, walk up and down the hall, walking up and down a flight of steps and things like that. But, you know, I couldn't tie my shoes. I couldn't button my shirt. I couldn't fasten pants or work a zipper. It was winter. I couldn't put on gloves. Um, yeah, it was a lot. You know, just doing simple things like bathing and drying myself was difficult. You know, I lost like sensitivity in a lot of sensitivity in my left hand. I couldn't tell if I was holding something or not, or if I had reached my hand in my pocket. I didn't know if whether I had it or not. Let's see what else. Then there was the brain fog. Oh, one other thing. We had a pieces gig 2 weeks after I had the strokes. So you
Mm.
know, what was I gonna do? You know, I didn't want to let everybody down. I know if I'm not there, then it's pretty much not gonna be you know can't do the gig. Um, So we hired an additional keyboardist to do what my left hand would have done, and I wound up doing the gig with just one hand. You know, just my right. Fortunately, my right hand was good enough shape to be able to do that much, and I was able to do that.
Yeah, I love your spirit, man. That's the spirit of pressing forward, and
Mm.
uh,
Well,
what did
when I
that?
was
Yeah.
19, I broke my wrist with the 3 days before Peace's Grover tour. And we backed him in his band, and then we opened for him as Pieces. And I broke my wrist 3 days before the tour, and well, basically did the same thing. I showed up to rehearsal with another keyboardist. I said, "This is my buddy Curtis Dowd, and we're gonna maybe try and get him another keyboard rig." And yeah, and Grover just went for it. Me, I'm young. I didn't realize all of the logistics that meant. When you really think about it, you're looking at another another pay per
Mm,
gig for someone,
mm-hmm,
another keyboard rig for someone, another hotel room for someone, another flight for someone, another per diem for someone times 3 months,
mm-hmm,
right? And Grover just like without batting an eye, just okay, cool, let's do it.
mm-hmm,
So I got my cast on, and usually you get a cast 6 weeks, you get it taken off, right?
mm-hmm.
6 weeks ago, saw it off, and then they say, okay, move your wrist this way. I'm like, ow. They move your wrist this way. I'm like, ow. Oh, guess what? Another 6 weeks. Oh, you got to be kidding me. I'm going to have to do the whole 3 months tour with this thing on. And during the summer at that, I mean, the thing was itching, and, it got all hot. And sometimes my bone would swell up inside of it and push against the inside of the cast. And it was, oh man, it was crazy. So that was 19. Uh, so I was used to playing with one hand. I'm like, yeah, what the heck? Just like the Grover days, I'll do it again. Um,
Hey,
so
how does that change you? Do you think, like being through like breaking your and going through the strokes and everything like that? How does that change how you think about things now?
Um, well, it's reminded me of my perseverance. My will can conquer anything. With God's help, and if it be in His will.
Amen.
Um, let's see. After the strokes, I changed my diet. Uh, um, Went to a plant-based butter. I'm a lot more conscious of my sodium and sugar intake. Uh, I drink somewhere between 40 to 70 ounces of water a day.
Mm,
Um, uh, yeah, I'm trying to take a bit better care of myself. I've always been a firm believer of, live every day as if it were your last, because one day you're going to be right, and you
mm,
just don't know what day that is, you know. So,
mm.
um,
Well, right on. You look
about
like you look
people,
so good, and you've done so well, and you're you're all there. I've met a lot of people with strokes, and you're just like, shooting like a superstar. I mean, and you're quick and on top of it, and
thank
God
you.
is good, man. Way to go with
He
that.
is. I've had
So,
family members who it was much more debilitating. So I've seen, the results and what it
mm,
can do. And I'm so thankful that um, I was able to snap back as much as I have been. I'm thankful that I didn't try and sleep it off, that I didn't lay back down and say, oh, well, let me just lay down. Maybe I'll feel better after if I had a nap. The doctor said if
yeah,
I'd have done
that would have
that,
been it.
I wouldn't have.
That,
Yeah, see, you already know,
that
huh?
would have
Yeah,
been, yeah.
that's the kiss of death. Yeah, you don't wake up after that, man.
Mm.
So I didn't know that one. I'm like, oh,
I
that's
like
a
that
sobering thought.
for sure. I like to ask my musicians friends, because we're so defined by what we do. Like, who are you outside of music, or can you separate that at all? Is there what you know what I mean, or is it just
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? Because we're not just what we do. That's what I know. The way we serve the Lord and whatever. I mean, if I didn't do music, I mean, right now I don't know. I mean, I do something else, but um, it doesn't, completely define who we are. So who are you outside of music? Is that a weird question?
No, there are no weird questions, just weird people. No. uh,
Hey, I resemble
um,
that comment a little bit.
you dig? Same here. Let me see. Well, one thing that I guess uh, uh, quite a few people know, but maybe not so many, um, is that I'm quite a cook.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not a chef, but
But
I
pretty
I
close.
like to cook a lot. Yeah,
What do you
they
love to
call
cook
me
the
chef.
most? What do you love to cook the most?
Oh man, let's see.
Top
I
top
may
three.
I do some mean things with salmon.
Okay.
I make like ridiculous soups. It's broccoli and cheddar soup and tortellini and kale and sausage soup and white bean white bean chicken chili.
Mm.
Um, I do a stuffed salmon, salmon stuffed with cream cheese, garlic, and spinach, and uh, blackened seasoning on the outside. And do
Mm-mm.
honey garlic salmon bites, salmon soup. I make a salmon chowder, blackened salmon chowder. Let's see.
Mm.
Yeah,
All right.
those
All
are some
right.
of my favorites.
Well, speaking of food, um, I'm super grateful to you for my new single coming out. It's called "Food for the Soul." Written by you, and it just I heard you sent me a couple of things. I was like, man, that is just so. It struck me as so unique. It just doesn't sound like anything else, but it sounds like something everybody loves. It's a very interesting. And it's got soul, and I'm from the South, and I don't people don't get that when they look at me the first time. They don't realize I'm from the Mississippi Delta. They probably think I'm
Oh,
from
okay.
Iowa or something. I don't know.
Okay, you down there by the crossroads. Okay.
Yeah, man, I lived in Jackson, Cleveland, Raymond, Boyle. I went to first,
All
second
right.
grade in Boyle, Mississippi, Mendenhall. Look that up on the map. you know,
Wow.
you know. So, but any rate, we got the new single coming out, "Food for the Soul," and
Hmm.
it's kind of got that. It's definitely got that. When you say it's got that Philadelphia food in it, some of that.
Yeah, definitely. It's got a little soul food up there. Little cheese steak, little soft pretzel with the mustard. Hmm.
Now, all about jazz called "Pieces of a Dream," the Steely Dan of smooth jazz. When you heard that one, did you think that was spot on, or what did you think of that comment?
Who was that about?
Oh, so all about jazz is called "Pieces of a Dream," the Steely Dan of smooth jazz. Have you heard that before?
Oh,
Hmm.
no. Oh, they were talking about us. Oh,
Yeah.
the Steely Dan of smooth. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. That's wow. That's that's a high compliment to me. I mean, because I see Steely Dan as just being so, from, to quote one of his lines, so outrageous, you know. Um, but such different music, but still accessible, and
Hmm.
likable by so many people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
how what a fine line to tether,
Man, well,
successfully.
let's talk about so "Food for the Soul" out August 1st. Uh, Thank you for your kindness. We reached. I'm trying to remember how this all happened. I think. How did we meet? We met through. maybe it's Alexander Zonjic, or maybe I just reached out to you
Oh,
on Facebook, or I'm trying to
mm-hmm.
remember how. But anyway, we started talking. That is the cool thing about social media, is because you can reach out to somebody, and amazing things can happen. So this would be one of them. And so the title, we talked about the title, and we talked about Pieces of a Dream. When you think about Cedric, or about Grover, about everybody who's part of the dream that isn't here to see the 50th, what do you think you carry forward for them?
Wow. Just excuse me. I guess the knowledge that them looking on, seeing that something they were a part of, and from so far back is still continuing. It's still going, and even though we've moved forward, we haven't forgotten those who've gone on before us.
Beautiful. So what's still on your list, James? What's the dream you haven't gotten to yet, or what are you hoping for, like in 2000, or
Huh.
can you believe it, 2027? Is that right? Yeah, amazing.
Ah, man. You know, we've done so many things. I tell you, honestly, I've led such a blessed and full life. I've done so many crazy, incredible things and encountered so many just huge and great and on all levels people that if I didn't survive the rest of this sentence, I'd be fine. I mean,
Mhm.
I got to play with we got to back James Brown for two tunes, on the Lou Rawls Parade of Stars telethon. Remember those?
Yeah.
Back in the
Wow.
day.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Back, I got to play when I was living in New York. I used to do they had this show called New York Undercover,
Mm.
uh, and I wound up doing 4 episodes of that. They had a music bar scene. So, I played with Luther and John B. and Al Green, and yeah, um, man, so things like that, and just, man, people that I've got to meet. I've got to meet all my keyboard idols. I've got to meet Oscar
Mhm.
Peterson, and I introduced myself. He's like, "Oh yeah, I heard of you." Oh, that just made my life right there. The fact that he's even heard of me. Okay. And I met Chick Corea and of course Herbie, and we took a picture together, and I was like, "Man, you look like my uncle or something." We kind of look alike. Uh, and and the late great George Duke. I got to work with him
Mm.
so many times, and sit on stage with him. Just ran on stage and just started playing, and and he didn't mind one bit. There's another one. It's Beautiful Cats. It's just all about music, and uh, it's been so many things. Just been all over the world with Grover, and just here, there. I turned 19 in Japan, like my first time over there. And
Mm.
man, so
That's cool. Yeah. So hey, so
it's
James, so a kid walks up to you after the show, you're like some sixth grader, same age as you were when you in that ensemble room at Ada Lewis, and says, "Hey, I want to be able to do what you do." What do you tell them now?
forget about it. Uh, Try accounting, something like that. Get your MCAT, you know, doctor.
Yeah, little
No,
truth in every
uh,
joke, right?
yeah, with a little truth, but in all seriousness, I would say, all right, if you really want to do this, then you have to really want to do this. It's really just that simple. I know it sounds like so simple it's almost a joke, right? It's like, okay, that's not supposed to make sense, but it's about as bare bones as it can get. If you really want to do this,
Hmm.
then you have to really want to do this.
Yeah.
Meaning,
I've
it's
thought,
not going to come
yeah,
easy. It's
no.
not like, you can use an app to go outside and play tag. Like you
Hmm.
can't, it's just not possible. There's no shortcuts. You can't go around it. You got to go through it.
Hmm.
You know?
This is gonna sound maybe
So,
even kind of mean in some way, but like I think to myself, um, if people, somebody's asking, well, should I try to play saxophone for a living? Um, I think if you have to ask, the answer is no.
mm,
It's just a different way
okay.
of saying what you said,
Yeah.
because it's either, you are gonna do this, and you're gonna make it happen, or you're gonna give it 200%, or forget about it. Because even if you do, the chances are slim. You know, I mean, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just,
Exactly.
it's just,
No, but
it's
it's
just,
very
just,
true.
just true. You know,
You
you have
have to
to.
be compelled and slightly crazy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Do you know anybody like that? Musicians at all?
There you go. All of us. you know,
Oh my gosh.
anybody that can, anybody that's worth listening to is compelled and slightly crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
Believe it.
yeah. James, man, 50 years you've been putting joy into the world, and you're still cooking. And I mean literally too. So it's been a real honor to hang out with you, and thanks for taking the time out of your day. And thanks for, making this song together, Food for the Soul and James Lloyd everywhere you stream music. And this Saturday, August 1st. Go feed your soul, James Lloyd, ladies and gentlemen. And where should people come check you out if they want to follow where you're playing? Just go, give them, tell them where to go.
Oh, yeah. Catch us piecesofadream.net
Okay.
and also on Facebook and Instagram. They can just, we post our schedules and things that we have coming up and different inside stuff, sometimes. Yeah, hang out with us and look us up.
Beautiful.
And look out for Food for the Soul from Patrick Lamb.
Oh, man.
Man,
Hey, I
this is
love
going
you.
to be such a cool song, man.
I'm
I'm really
excited
looking
about
forward
it.
to this coming out.
Yeah, man. God bless you. And I'm going to play a little bit of you. I think it's like in Algarve, or whatever you call it, somewhere in Europe. Here's some
Oh,
footage
yeah.
that I found. I thought it was really cool. So I'm gonna play it, man. God bless you, man. I'll see you. Talk to you soon. Okay. Take care.
Thank you. God bless you too, my brother.
Oh, thank you so much for having us. Don't forget to get your CDs. Peace.
Patrick Lamb has toured and appeared with some of the greats of our time. Bobby Caldwell, Diane Shure, Gino Vanelli, and Smokey Robinson, and many more. But now, he's making a name for himself as one of the hottest new breakout entertainers and artists. He's sold out Philly, sold out Charlotte, sold out San Antonio, and sold out Las Vegas. He must be doing something right, folks.
He must be doing something right.
It sure is funny. I know that.
This is where the party at.
Patches is Patches 2-week-old collard greens. Kind of extra meat in it.
Do it, honey.
He always wearing them Japanese